There are few names in comedy, or in Hollywood itself, that shine as brightly as Eddie Murphy. For over 4 decades, his laughter, his swagger, and his effortless wit defined what it meant to be a superstar. He was the kid from Brooklyn who conquered Saturday Night Live, the man who made the world double over in laughter, and the actor who could turn any movie into a phenomenon. But behind the gold records, blockbuster hits, and sold-out arenas, lies a story that's far more human. A story marked by loss, loneliness, and a lifetime spent chasing something deeper than fame. At 64, the tragedy of Eddie Murphy is beyond heartbreaking. Eddie Murphy's story begins humbly. Born in Brooklyn, New York, in 1961, he was the second of 2 sons. His mother, Lillian, worked as a telephone operator, while his father, Charles, was a transit police officer and a part-time amateur comedian. It's easy to imagine where Eddie's early sense of humor came from. But his childhood was not a carefree one. When Eddie was just 8 years old, tragedy struck. His father was murdered by a woman he was dating. That single act of violence would change the course of Eddie's life forever. In later interviews, Eddie rarely spoke about that trauma. He hid it behind the jokes, behind that magnetic grin. But those who knew him say that the loss haunted him. "You learn early that the world isn't always funny," he once said quietly. "But you try to make it funny, because if you don't, it'll crush you." His mother later fell ill, and for a time, Eddie and his brother Charlie were placed in foster care. It was in those quiet, confusing years that Eddie discovered the power of imitation, using humor as armor and performance as survival. By his late teens, Eddie Murphy was already performing stand-up around New York. His confidence, even then, was otherworldly. He wasn't just funny, he was electric. In 1980, at only 19 years old, he joined Saturday Night Live. Within a year, he had saved the show from cancellation. His characters, Buckwheat, Gumby, Mr. Robinson, became cultural landmarks. By 22, he was one of the most recognizable faces in America. But fame, especially when it arrives young, has a way of distorting reality. Eddie went from struggling comic to millionaire almost overnight. His next chapter was Hollywood, and he attacked it with the same energy. 48 Hours, Trading Places, Beverly Hills Cop, Coming to America, one success after another. His movies didn't just make money, they changed the industry. He became the first black actor in Hollywood history to command $20 million per film. The studios adored him. The fans worshipped him. And Eddie Murphy became, for a time, the king of comedy. Yet the higher he climbed, the lonelier the air became. By the early 1990s, Eddie's public image began to shift. The same press that once celebrated him now turned on him. Rumors, controversies, personal scandals, each headline chipped away at the myth. He was accused of arrogance, of being difficult to work with, of isolating himself. Fame had given him everything, and quietly taken everything else away. His brother, Charlie Murphy, often spoke about that period. Eddie was always trying to make everyone laugh, Charlie said, but he wasn't laughing as much anymore. Behind the gates of his mansion, Eddie withdrew. He became a father to many children from different relationships, and though he loved them deeply, his relationships often collapsed under the weight of fame and scrutiny. Then came the blow that broke him, the death of his brother, Charlie, in 2017. Charlie was more than a sibling, he was Eddie's anchor. They had survived childhood together, laughed through poverty together, and built their dreams side by side. When Charlie died from leukemia, Eddie was devastated. At the funeral, witnesses said he sat silently, eyes hidden behind sunglasses, unable to speak. Later, he told a friend, "That was the hardest thing I've ever gone through. I've lost people, but not like that. He was my other half." After Charlie's death, Eddie retreated from Hollywood for years. The man who once couldn't stay off the screen vanished from it entirely. No tours, no new movies, no interviews, just silence. His comeback in 2019's Dolomite Is My Name reminded the world of his brilliance, but even then, there was a melancholy under the laughter. He spoke openly about legacy, aging, and loss. "I used to want to be the funniest man alive," he said in one interview. "Now I just want to be around my kids, enjoy the little things, and keep breathing." But as the years passed, tragedy continued to shadow him. Eddie Murphy's health began to decline quietly. Sources close to him have spoken about chronic exhaustion and stress-related issues. He's battled insomnia, blood pressure problems, and physical pain from decades of performing. Friends say the constant pressure, the endless demand to be funny, took a toll. And though he's maintained his trademark smile in public, behind closed doors, Eddie has faced waves of depression and isolation. It's heartbreaking to realize that the man who gave the world so much laughter has lived much of his later life in solitude. His Beverly Hills mansion is said to be filled with reminders of his past, old movie posters, family photos, and scripts from projects he never finished. In interviews, when asked about regret, Eddie often pauses before answering. "I've made a lot of people laugh," he says softly, "but I wish I'd taken more time to just be." You miss moments you don't get back. Those closest to him describe a man who is gentle, reflective, and aware that time is moving quickly. He's spoken about feeling the weight of mortality, watching friends like Richard Pryor, Bernie Mac, and Charlie all pass before him. The laughter that once filled his life has grown quieter. "You reach an age," he said in one rare conversation, "where you realize that the laughter that used to save you can't protect you from everything." In recent years, rumors about his health have surfaced repeatedly, talk of fatigue, heart strain, and the toll of years of emotional stress. While Eddie himself has avoided confirming anything, fans have noticed his absence from public life. He's seen less often, attends fewer events, and seems content to let the world move on without him in the spotlight. Still, beneath all the sadness, there's something quietly noble about how Eddie Murphy has handled aging and pain. He's not chasing the fame anymore. He's not trying to be the loudest voice in the room. Instead, he's spending time with his children, writing, and occasionally stepping back into the light when the project feels meaningful. He has learned, perhaps painfully, that legacy is not about the headlines, it's about the hearts you've touched. And yet, there's an unmistakable sadness that hangs over Eddie Murphy's story. The world still remembers him as the man who could make anyone laugh, but very few have seen how much he's had to endure. The laughter that made him famous often came from a place of deep pain. The trauma of losing his father, the years in foster care, the burden of fame, the loss of his brother, each chapter left a mark. At 64, Eddie Murphy is a legend living in the long echo of his own success. A man who gave the world joy, only to find that joy slipping away from his own hands. His story is both inspiring and devastating, proof that even the brightest lights can flicker when the world stops applauding.